to another edition of Friday Night Vedder Mysteries. Oh, you're surprised to see me, are you? You thought last week's gunshots actually hit me? Well, they did. But while I'm not bulletproof, my vest is. Hey, look, you may not have been able to tell from just looking at this beautiful face that I've taken this body out for more than just a test drive. I've been beaten, whipped, stabbed, stomped on, shot at, and otherwise abused. Hey, 30 years in the business, you have to know I was taking precautions. I was born at night, all right, but not last night. Anyway, our fine director for our wonderful first season is signaling for me to continue. Right, the show must go on. And what a show! Our final episode in the series is Act 2 of The Gallows Does Well. And where were we? All right. If you recall, Charles Peace had managed to track down the Dysons to their new home in Ecclesall Road, Banner Cross. Even though there was an arrest warrant out for him, he still had intentions of making Katie Dyson's life a misery. And just how miserable? You'll have to watch with me now. The world premiere of Act 2 and the exciting conclusion of The Gallows Does Well.
Pardon me, but is this Banner Cross?
Aye, is this Banner Cross?
I'm looking for Ecclesall Road. I'd be obliged if you could direct me there.
Ecclesall Road? Don't need much direction at that. Turn right, on left, after yonder church.
Much obliged to be sure.
No! Arthur! Arthur, are you there?
Coming, Kate. What's the trouble?
Arthur,
Well, what is it, Kate? What's up?
nothing. That is, would you mind rocking the baby just a bit while I take in the washing? I think it's starting to rain.
Well, I'll not offer to bring in clothes offline. You know, I always manage to drop something in the mud.
No. I'll only be a few minutes.
Aye. And mind those steps in the yard. It's dark out there, and you're not properly used to this place yet.
Where are you? Where are you?
Here, Katie, on top of this wall. But now here I am right beside you. It didn't take Charlie Peace long to find your new address, did it?
Get away from me. I hate you. I hate you. But I want to avoid further trouble, and that's why I'm here. Don't you know there's a warrant out for your arrest?
Aye, and that's why I'm here, Katie. To beg you to get it withdrawn.
It's too late.
Nay, you can still do it by saying it was all a mistake. You wouldn't want to see poor Charlie P. sent to prison, would you, Katie? Think of everything we've had.
Why can't you just leave me alone?
I'll never leave you alone, Katie. Not until you get that summons withdrawn. Aye, no matter where you go, you'll not be rid of me.
Then I guess you're best locked up in prison.
So, you dare talk to me like that? You thought by leaving Darnall and moving here to Banner Cross you could get rid of Charlie Peace? Aye, you hoped by now to hear the police had caught me. But they haven't. What's more, they never will. Ah, you've got to learn that liberty means more to Charlie Peace than all else put together. As for the neighbors, here, I'll tell them what sort of woman you really are. Aye, they'll see the picture of you and me arm in arm at Sheffield Fair. I'll show them all the guilty little notes you ever wrote.
You're a fiend. I guess you ain't even human.
And if that's not enough, then You'll find other methods I have still.
No! Get away! Take your hands off me!
Withdraw that summons, I say, or you're going to be sorry, the pair of you.
Let go! Let me go! I'll call my husband! Let me go! Arthur! Arthur!
What is it, Kate?
Charles Peace!
Peace!
Over there, climbing the wall!
Why?
Stand back.
Get the police, Kate!
No, let me go. Stand back, I say. Stand back. There, I told you I'd shoot, and the next time I'll take aim.
Get the police!
Fool, let me go. Do you hear? Let me go.
Oh.
He's dead! Murdered!
Whereas the murderer did escape by climbing garden wall, and in such a manner as to leave no trace of his present whereabouts, notice is hereby given that a reward of £100 will be paid by Your Majesty's government to any person or persons who shall give information and evidence as will lead to discovery and conviction of said Charles Peace. That ought to bring summat to light of his whereabouts.
An handsome bit of money for someone too.
Yeah, but not for likes of us.
Nay, who can tell? He may be hiding in all this very minute.
2 coffees and 2 meat pies, 6 each, please.
Thank you, miss.
Thanks, ma'am. And I'd do well to watch for Charles Peace, Bannercross murderer. Has seen reward out in papers this morning.
Aye, I've seen it. What makes you think he'd come to Hull?
What makes you think he wouldn't? As good as anywhere else, I reckon.
Excuse me, please.
Mrs. Ward?
Oh, well, that's my name.
I'm a police officer and I have reason to believe otherwise. I'd like a word with you privately.
What about?
I said privately.
I'm busy just now.
In that case, I'll wait.
Oh, well, all right. This way.
Thank you. And just in case anyone should try to leave these premises in a hurry, it may save trouble if I tell you we've 2 men posted in front and 2 at back.
I don't understand, except that this is a waste of time.
I've reason to believe that your name isn't Ward, and that you're the wife of Charles Peace, wanted for murder in Sheffield.
Oh, and what makes you think that?
We've our own methods of inquiry, Mrs. Peace.
Well, suppose I deny it.
It'll make no difference.
Then supposing I don't deny it. Supposing I tell you I haven't the least idea where my husband is at this minute. If you must know, I haven't set eyes on him since the night he left here to go to Sheffield, 3 weeks ago. Now, will you let me be?
I've a warrant to search this place, Mrs. Peace.
Well, then go ahead and search.
If you don't mind, I'll begin with the attic and work downwards.
Oh, come on then. I tell you, I've no time to waste. Well, are you satisfied?
Aye, unless there's a secret passage tucked away.
Secret passage in walls of this thickness.
Aye, that's true enough.
Oh, you should have believed me in the first place. You'd think I'd hold with a murderer, even if it be my own husband? I want no more of him, I tell you. And just let him set foot in this place again. Perhaps you don't know, but there's a reward out. Aye, £100 reward. You think I couldn't do with that money? Aye, and be rid of him into the bargain?
We can count on that, Mrs. Peace.
Oh, you can stake your life on it. And now... If you don't mind, I've customers waiting to be served.
Good day, Mrs. Peace. Good day. For the present.
Are you there, Charles Peace? You may come down off the roof now. They've gone.
Is it safe, Hannah?
Aye, they've gone. Walking away up the street this minute. But take care to that gutter piping. It's loose.
All right, Hannah. I'm coming. I'm coming. That was a near one, Hannah. You only pulled the bell rope just in time.
Oh, to think that I should have to do this for a murderer.
Don't talk that way, Hannah. I'm not a murderer, not really. How many times must I tell you I didn't want to shoot him, but I had to. He wouldn't let me go. I warned him, I warned him several times, but he wouldn't let me go.
And how do you suppose we can keep this up? There's a reward out for you, Charlie Peace. £100 reward. It's in every morning newspaper.
£100, eh? £100 reward for Charles Peace. Well, don't worry. Nobody'll ever get it.
Oh, don't you be so sure. From now on, it'll be touch and go every moment of the day.
I said not to worry, Hannah. I've made me plans. I've been thinking it over and I've made me plans.
What plans?
I'll be leaving here tonight, Hannah.
Oh, you're crazy. As like as not, the police will be watching the place again by then.
Aye, they'll be watching this place. But I can reach other side of the street by way of the rooftops. There's no moon tonight. And, well, the rest is just a piece of cake to Charlie Peace.
And when daylight comes, there's a full description of you in every newspaper, aye, as well as in every policeman's notebook.
You think I care about that? Surely you know me well enough by now, Hannah, how good I am at acting, as well as disguise. Aye, 'tis a gift from the Almighty, that I'm able to strain the muscles of me face, and so give it a different appearance whenever I please. I can master the lameness too, if only for a few yards at a stretch, but sufficient. As for this hand, I haven't been idle all this time, Hannah. Look what I made. I'll put it on just to show you. There.
A hook!
Aye, a hook on the end of a dummy forearm. Since when did Charlie Peace lose his whole forearm and wear a hook instead? I tell you, in a week from now, I'll walk up to any policeman in the north and ask him the time of day.
Oh, you've enough nerve, as none can deny.
I'll be leaving here tonight, Hannah, and never come back. I can look to myself for a month or two, a whole year if need be.
Aye, with the help of another woman.
I'll send you money from time to time, and then, when the hue and cry for Charlie Peace has begun to die down, you can sell up here and come join me.
Where? Where will that be, may I ask?
Oh, maybe in Leeds, maybe in York, Huddersfield. Yeah, maybe even London. Excuse me, sir, but this train does go to London, to King's Cross Station.
Aye, this be the London train.
You don't mind if I open the window a few inches? Me wife here is subject to fainting fits, eh, Susan?
That's right, Charlie. I never could stand a stuffy carriage.
By all means.
Thank you, sir. There, that's better, Susan.
Aye, a body can breathe now.
Yeah, with a bit of luck, you'll have a compartment to yourself after Sheffield. That's where I get out.
You live at Sheffield, sir?
No, but I work there. My home's in Sunderland.
And if my powers of observation don't deceive me, sir, you'd be a policeman, eh?
I'll not deny it.
Pray, don't think me personal or inquisitive. The fact is, I've met any number of policemen in me time, and, well, One gets to know the stamp, if you understand. A very fine body of men, if I may say so, sir. Aye, a very noble profession.
Like everything else, it has its ups and downs.
Yeah, I suppose so. And as a matter of interest, while we're on the subject, what do you deduce for my appearance, eh?
Well, I'd say you were a businessman.
A merchant would be more correct.
Aye, and judging by color of your skin, I'd say you'd spent a good many years abroad, eh? And, in some hot climate or other?
You see, Susan, how the police are trained to observe? You're quite right, sir. I was born and bred in Hull, but most of my life has been spent in the West Indies, Jamaica. Ah, now there's a wonderful country for you. It was there also that I met with this little misfortune. A snake bite it was, sir, and they took off me arm just in time from the elbow downwards.
And you managed now with, that hook? A bit too clumsy for me, I'd say.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at what I can do after all these years with one hand and a hook. Eh, Susan?
Oh, 'tis true enough.
But you mentioned Sheffield, sir. I was there, just about a year ago now, when there was a murder down at Banner Cross.
Oh, aye, yeah. The Banner Cross murder.
You were there at the time?
No, I was in Huddersfield then. Although most of us in the north were out on that job, one way or another anyways, it comes to that, we still are.
You mean you haven't caught that fellow yet?
You'd have heard all right if we had.
Pawn me soul. I've even forgotten his name. Charles somebody or other.
Charles Peace. And £100 reward on his head.
Yeah, of course. Charles Peace.
Although I'd say it myself, 'tis my opinion, he never will be caught. Many's the criminal I've taken in my time, but there's something about that man.
Oh, you mean he's too clever for you, eh?
I'll not deny he's clever, but that's not all. 'Tis as though the luck of the devil goes with him, hand in hand. Many's the time we've caught up with him. Aye, we've had him as good as trapped in a house before now, and he's still managed to give us the slip.
Most remarkable, to be sure.
Furthermore, 'tis known now that all along Charles Peace were Portico thief, wanted for a score or more of robberies here in the north.
But you still can't catch him, eh? Oh, well. Wait.
Why, what's the matter, Charlie?
This must be Darnell.
Aye, we're getting into Sheffield now.
Darnell. I've happy memories of Darnell. Aye, many a happy memory. Forgive me, sir. You were saying about Charles Peace and the Banner Cross murder?
Nay, that's all about there is to it.
Tell me, sir, I remember at the time my sympathies went out to the victim's widow, Mrs. Dyson? That's it, Mrs. Dyson. Is she still living at Banner Cross?
Nay, before marriage she was from the United States of America, Cleveland, Ohio. That's where she belonged, and that's where she's gone.
Ah, I see.
But of course, if Charles Peace is ever caught, then she'll be sent for again as witness. Aye, the principal witness as her husband to her husband's murder.
Indeed. Yes, to be sure.
Sheffield! Well, I get out here. Pleased to meet you, Mr.
Thompson, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson.
And a comfortable journey to you both. Good day.
Good day.
Good day, sir, and good luck.
Charlie, however did you do it? Your face, it looked quite different all that time.
A gift, Susan. A gift from the Almighty. But the walnut juice, it worked. That's what I'm pleased about. It worked. He never gave it a second look. The hot climate of Jamaica, eh?
Nay, I was frightened. At any time he might have recognized you. We shouldn't have risked coming through Sheffield.
Don't worry, Susan. There's no need to worry anymore. If I took a pretty young widow like Susan Thompson to recognize Charles Peace, but I can fool any policeman living. That's all that matters, eh?
Buy me a drink, Charlie. Just a little drop. I need it after that.
Later, Susan, later. And when we get to London, why, you shall have all the gin you want.
I'm just wondering about that wife of yours.
No need to worry about Hannah. Wherever we are, there'll be room for the three of us.
You think so, eh? Well, I say there's never room for two women in any man's life.
But you don't know Hannah. Wait and see, Susan. Wait till we get to London. London. If they couldn't catch Charles Peace in the north, they'll never catch him in London. Never.
You see, Mr. Thompson, the little model boat is sunk to the bottom of the bath.
Aye, Mr. Bryan, that's plain enough.
Now, I want you to forget about this here bath and imagine the boat's lying on the ocean bed at, say 18 fathoms, get me?
Aye, Mr. Bryan, I follow.
Now, what is it makes a boat sink in the first place, Mr. Thompson?
Why, it'd be the water getting into her somehow.
Exactly. Oh, you've traveled the world, Mr. Thompson. Anyone could see that by your complexion without being told it, if you excuse me saying so. Wouldn't be surprised if you'd actually seen a ship sink before now, eh?
Well, since you come to mention it,
I thought so. Then you'll know all about it. And I want you to imagine that this here boat is struck a rock and being hauled in her bows. And if you like, she was carrying a cargo of gold bullion. But there she lies, at the bottom of the ocean bed, see?
Aye.
Now, the divers go down and patch up the hole, but that don't bring her up to the surface again, huh?
Nor the gold bullion, Mr. Bryan.
Exactly. And for why? Because she's still full of water. Now, this invention of mine is quite simple. Merely an air pump and a bit of rubber tubing. There's a valve fitted to either side of the boat in the bath there, exactly the same as divers would fit to the hull of a sunken vessel. An inlet valve and an outlet valve, see? And all we have to do is connect the tube to the inlet valve. I'll have to roll up me sleeves a bit more. That's better. There, and start pumping, so.
God bless me soul, it's coming up. The boat's coming up to the top.
Bullion and all, Mr. Thompson. Get the idea? The water's pumped out and the air pumped in.
Ingenious. Most ingenious, Mr. Bryan.
The same way you could pump in gases lighter than air if necessary.
Aye, your fortune's made without a doubt.
I sent the drawings to the Admiralty and would you believe it, they turned it down.
Nay, Mr. Bryan.
It's a fact.
Well, what else can you expect of the government? Too busy worrying their heads about the Russians and the Turks, if you ask me. Think we'll go to war with Russia, Mr. Bryan?
You got me there. All the same, they do say as how that big naval demonstration in the Black Sea has made the Tsar sit up and take notice.
Aye, but what beats me is this. A Christian nation like us, siding with the heathens against Christians.
No, it don't make sense. But to return to the little invention of mine...
Oh, it's real clever, Mr. Bryan. And worth twice as much, if there is a war, you'd have thought.
Oh, I'm not downhearted. I've not given up hope, by a long way. If Disraeli and his pal don't want it, well, there's plenty of salvage companies, I reckon.
Aye, and I'll tell you something else, Mr. Bryan. I'm a retired man, as you know, and, well, I've got quite a bit put by. If you're wanting any financial assistance, I'd be happy.
I appreciate that, Mr. Thompson. What's more, I'll bear it in mind.
Aye, I'd be only too pleased.
You know, Mr. Thompson, I took a liking to you from the start, ever since you first came to live here in Peckham. Funny part is, in the beginning, I always felt a bit sorry for you, what with a crippled arm and that, but now that I know you better, well, I don't feel sorry for you no more. I mean that as a compliment, of course.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bryan. As for me, I'd like you to come round one evening. Bring your wife along and meet Mrs. Thompson. I could show you my collection of musical instruments. Aye, we could even have a musical evening if you've a mind to it.
I'd be delighted, Mr. Thompson, and I'm sure the missus would too.
Well, there's no time like the present. How about tonight?
Well, tonight's as good as any, I reckon.
Splendid. Oh, you wouldn't mind if my landlady, Mrs. Ward, is there too? She's a widow, you know, and lives with her young son in the basement. The wife and I feel sorry for her, and generally ask her upstairs on these occasions.
The more the merrier, that's what I say.
And now I must be getting along. I left the pony and trap outside, and Prince is a restless nag. Aye, doesn't like being kept waiting too long.
Take that! You drunken, shameless strumpet! I'll show you who the real mistress is here!
You think you are, but you're not! You're just an ugly, jealous old dried-up piece of...
Do you hear me? Stop it, I say, the pair of you!
Oh, well, speak to her! She started it!
The liar! I never
Quiet,
did!
I say. Do you want all the neighbours on our doorstep?
Oh, they'd be surprised to learn that I'm your lawful wedded wife living in here in the basement while you and that...
Don't you dare to call me any more names or...
Now listen, both of you. You know very well the way we live here is for safety, my safety. Because after 2 years, the police are still looking for Charles Peace. Aye, they'd still give £100 for me in Sheffield. What's more, they know you too, Hannah, well enough by now. And that's why we're here, split up and disguised. Neither of you's got anything to complain about. You both live in comfort and with money to spend.
Aye, and where does it come from? 'Tis the Portico thief, all over again, only here in London instead of the north. But where will it end?
You hold your tongue, Hannah. If you're not satisfied, you can get out of here into the street. Aye, and that applies to both of you. If you're not satisfied, you can get out this minute. Well, what are you waiting for? But while you're here, I'll have no more of your wrangling. That clear, Susan?
Yes, Charlie.
And you too, Hannah? Oh, we don't want to quarrel on a fine afternoon like this. Prince could do with some exercise, I reckon. Get your bonnets and I'll take you both for a little drive to Blackheath. And afterwards, I was almost forgetting. We've got company coming tonight. Aye, Mr. and Mrs. Bryan from across the terrace. A clever man, Mr. Bryan, an inventor. Hey, wake up there, Susan. Do you want to miss all the view?
What else do you expect of a tippler?
Now, don't spoil things, Hannah, on a beautiful afternoon.
Where are we, Charlie?
On the edge of Blackheath, and it's best in autumn, they say. Whoa there, Prince. Whoa! There we are, St. John's. Isn't that a fine house now?
Wonderful, I reckon.
As white as a snowball, eh? As for the terrace and the lawns, low windows too, opening straight onto ground level. Now come off it, Prince. What'd Mr. BURNESS say if he saw you spoiling the edge? Poor Prince, He never could resist hazel leaves.
And who, pray, is Mr. Burness?
Why, he's the gentleman as owns that house. Yeah, and a man of great substance, too. A man of great possessions.
You're mad, Charlie Peace. If you think to burgle such a place, why, as like as not, there'd be watchdogs or on the prowl by night, to say nothing of other precautions besides.
Oh, do you think there'd be a silver powder box there? You know I've always wanted a silver powder box, Charlie.
Hush! The pair of you. Who said anything of that sort of thing at all?
Oh, so you brought us out here just for the drive, eh? Well, if you've seen enough, we'd best go back. I, for one, begin to find it chilly.
You're right. I'm perished.
And if we've got company coming tonight, then you do well to pull yourself together, Susan Thompson.
Aye, we must have everything shipshape for Mr. and Mrs. Bryan. Now, we'll just take a quick look at back of house. Then we'll be on our way. Come on, Prince. Drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with mine. Or leave a kiss within the cup, and I'll not ask for wine. The thirst that from the soul doth rise, doth crave a drink divine. But might I of Jove's nectar sup, I would not change for thine.
Splendid! Splendid!
10 years ago, I'd have entertained you on the fiddle. But you can't play violin with a hook in place of hand.
Of course, of course. Too bad, Mr. Thompson. As for Mrs. Ward, why, I reckon she can make a piano talk. Hey, Ethel, my dear?
Oh, it's a fact she can. What's more, I'd give that much to have a voice like you, Mrs. Thompson.
Nay, you might have said so in me younger days.
And now it's past 11 o'clock. High time we were off. Can't remember when we enjoyed an evening so much, eh, Ethel?
That's the truth.
You must come again and soon. This way, Mr. Bryan. I'll fetch your coat. Now, about that invention of yours, we must have a proper talk sometime.
Goodbye, Mrs. Thompson. Thanks ever so much.
It's been a pleasure, I'm sure, Mrs. Bryan.
Tell me, dearie, where do you do your shopping?
Oh, sometimes in the high street, and sometimes Mrs. Ward here does it for me.
You come with me one morning and I'll show you round the market. None of your fancy prices there, once you know the ropes.
Oh, that's very good of you, I'm sure.
Goodbye, Mrs. Thompson. Your singing's been a real treat. And as for this house, why, I've seldom seen the like of it for silver and ornaments. Oh, some people are that lucky. What's more, you're lucky to have tenants like Mr. and Mrs. Ward. Mark my words, if every landlady could boast of such respectability, why, Peckham would be a different place.
Quietly, Prince, quietly, lad. Those shoes of yours ring like a dulcimer. Steady now, we're nearly there. Whoa, whoa, this is it. There now. You can eat Mr. Burness's hazel leaves to your heart's content. You're a queer lad. Always did prefer to be patted with the hook. But I haven't the hook with me tonight. I need both me hands. Wait here now. I'll not be long. Nay, I'll not be long.
Sergeant Brown, come here, quick. What is it, Robinson? Look, over there, in St. John's. Isn't that light moving around in one of the ground floor rooms?
You're right, it is, and all. That'd be the dining room, too.
Think we ought to knock up Mr. Burns's to see if all's well?
Scare the bird if there is one. No. You keep watch here by this gate, Robinson. Well, I go and fetch Constable Girling. There may be more than one of them in there, and we don't want to take any chances.
Look, Sergeant! It's gone out. Now the light's gone out.
Then wait here. If anyone leaves, they're bound to pass through this gate. You wait here and nab them. Don't worry, we'll be right behind you.
There's somebody coming now. Sergeant, there's somebody... Oh, all right, you drop the sack and...
Stand back, or I'll shoot. Stand back, you fool, all right?
Quick, Sergeant Brown, Girling!
Hold them, Constable, hold them, we're coming.
Let me go! Let me go!
That's got you. All right, Girling, I can hold them. Fetch an ambulance, quick.
Yes, Sergeant.
Are you badly hurt, Robinson?
Got me in the arm, Sergeant. And I think me head too.
I didn't mean to shoot. I warned him. I warned him, but he wouldn't
Shut
listen.
up, you, and save your breath. You're going to need it later. Your name?
John Ward.
John Ward. Where'd you live?
Find out.
Well, I dare say we shall at that. Your age?
60.
60.
Aye, and if you don't believe me, you can prove otherwise. I'm a poor old man, and I don't have...
All right, Girling. Well, let's have the contents of his pockets on this table.
Right, Sergeant. 1 Jimmy. 1 screwdriver. A pocket lamp with candle.
All the tools of the trade, eh?
Looks like it, Sergeant. A penknife. Quite a valuable one too, I'd say. A bunch of keys.
Half a mo. Let's take a look at that penknife. Thank you. Why, it's engraved. Yes. Moss Isaacs, Ernil. Dulwich Isaacs, Ernil. That seems familiar somehow. Just a minute. Isn't there a list here? This is the one. Yes, I thought so. 12 silver tablespoons, 12 silver forks. Here we are. 1 penknife with silver and ivory handle, fully engraved. This is it. The knife is part of the loot, burgled from a house in Dulwich in December last year.
You're mistaken. It's me own property. I bought it.
From where?
Oh, I don't remember.
John Ward, eh? You know what, Constable Girling? I think we've got a prize here. Whoever did that Dulwich job was thought at the time to have been responsible for 20 or 30 other cases of housebreaking, all exactly similar, and all carried out within a certain radius. Well, looks like we've got the culprit at last.
You're mistaken, I tell you. I'm a respectable citizen, down on his luck. Tonight's the very first time ever
We'll see about that. As for your bullets, one of them smashed a constable's elbow, and another grazed the side of his head.
It was accident, I tell you, and I demand bail.
Bail? On a charge of attempted murder? Ha!
Nothing more in his pocket, Sergeant.
Right, take him below.
No, let me go. I demand to see a lawyer.
Come on.
What about my horse, my pony?
Don't worry, he'll be well taken care of.
You'll be sorry for this. Aye, you're making a big mistake, I tell you.
Hey, Ethel, come here a minute and listen to this.
Well, who's the letter from? Something to do with the invention?
No, nothing like that. Look, written from Newgate Prison, and this is what it says. Dear Mr. Bryan, I beg of you to humble yourself and to visit an unfortunate wretch who has got himself into trouble through the sin of drunkenness. If you value true friendship, you will do as I ask. Signed, J. Ward.
But who's J. Ward?
That's just it. I don't know anyone of that name. It could be a practical joke, of course, but this here prison notepaper looks genuine enough. Think I ought to go, Ethel?
Well, it's up to you.
Pity Mr. Thompson ain't here. Now, he'd have advised me what to do, but he's been away over 3 weeks now, and Mrs. Thompson still can't say for sure when he'll be back. Oh, well, you never know. Maybe it's someone I met from the old days, someone I've forgotten all about. Maybe I ought to go.
This way! In there, 5 minutes only.
Thank you. Why...
Tis me, Mr. Bryan.
Mr. Thompson? Why, I can't believe it.
'Twas good of you to come, Mr. Bryan, and we've not much time.
But you signed yourself Ward, and...
Hush, Mr. Bryan. These walls have ears as well as eyes. I had me own reasons for writing that letter as I did. As you can see, I find myself in a most pitiable plight. And there's no time to go into the whys and wherefores at this minute, except to say that I'm innocent.
Yes, of course. But they can't keep you here indefinitely. Have you tried for bail? I'm not a rich man, but I'm willing to give you surety.
Good of you, Mr. Bryan, most good of you. But it's no use. You know what these block-headed policemen are. But there is one thing I'd be grateful if you'd do for me.
Of course. What is it?
See Mrs. Thompson and tell her where I am. It'll come as a shock, I don't doubt. But tell her. Ask her also to sell sufficient of me goods and chattels as will pay for a first-class lawyer.
Certainly. I'll do as you say.
You understand, if I'd written to her in first place, the police, like as not, would have followed it up by a visit themselves, and that would never do. I've my own reason for not wanting them to go there, and that's why I wrote to you, signing myself Ward. You understand, Mr. Bryan? And you'll keep me secret?
Rest assured, I'll do all I can.
You're a true friend, Mr. Bryan.
Time's up!
Don't worry, Mr. Ward. We'll have you out of here in no time.
Well, Why, if it isn't Mr. Bryan.
Afternoon, Mrs. Thompson. May I come in for a moment?
He's not back. Charlie's still away. But come in by all means. Oh, yes, come in and have a little drink, Mr. Bryan. Come on in.
Just for a moment, then. Spring cleaning, eh, Mrs. Thompson?
What, in October? Not me.
Oh, I just fancied the house looked a bit bare, that's all.
Of course it does. She's taken off and taken most of the stuff with her. Although it's Charlie's by rights.
She?
Her.
Oh, you mean Mrs. Ward.
Come on, have a drink.
Not just now, thanks all the same, Mrs. Thompson. Fact is, I've got a message for you. What's more, I reckon it'll come as a bit of a shock.
A message? For me?
From Mr. Thompson.
From Charlie? You've seen him. Where is he?
In Newgate Prison.
Newgate?
Don't worry, nobody knows as yet. But there's the name of Ward. He's there in the name of Ward, J. Ward.
You're certain of that?
I saw him with my own eyes this very afternoon.
So, they've got him at last. They've got him at last. Poor Charlie. He was good to me. But there's no sense in crying over spilt milk, is there, Mr. Bryan?
I don't understand, and that's a fact. All I know is the message was for you to sell enough furniture and the like as will pay for a good lawyer. He's innocent, of course.
Oh, yes, of course. Charlie was always innocent. Innocent as a newborn babe, and that's been the trouble. In the meantime, a woman must live. Aye, a woman must live, I reckon. You say he's there in the name of Ward. Tell me, Mr. Bryan, is that all they know about him?
At this stage, yes. What's more, he was most anxious.
I said a woman must live, eh, Mr. Bryan?
Well, we're not rich, Mrs. Thompson, but the missus and I will take care of you for a while. And if I sell my invention, as I hope to...
That's good of you, Mr. Bryan, mighty good. But I'll not need to trouble you. £100 is a tidy sum of money.
£100?
And Sheffield's not so far.
Hast thou heard news? They caught Charles Pearce at last.
They haven't all.
Aye, caught in London for wounding a policeman. And wouldst thou believe it? They had him a whole month afore they knew 'twas Charles Pearce, chief thief of the North and Banner Cross murderer.
Dost think they'll hang him at Leeds?
Aye, in due course. But kept in Newgate jail, it seems, while they sent for victim's widow.
All the way from America?
Agreed, 'tis waste of time and money. But law's the law and must take its course.
Where are we, eh? Where are we? I can't see nothing in this snow.
All right, Peace. Sit down. Unless you want the bracelets on again.
Well, there are two of you, aren't there? Two of you against a poor old man. Can't a prisoner stand up to stretch his legs? Can't he even ask a civil question these days? Where are we?
If you must know, we just passed through Headford Junction. There's a good half hour yet to Sheffield. Now sit down and keep quiet, will you?
When do I see my lawyer?
Tomorrow morning, at the police court.
Will she be there too? That creature from America? I'm innocent, but there's no justice in this country. I shot him in self-defense. Do you hear me? I shot him in self-defense. It wasn't murder.
Keep it, will you? Keep it for the police court.
I want the window open. It's stuffy in here.
Still snowing. Can't you see?
I don't care. I want the window open.
If you're too hot, take your coat off.
Hey, I'll not catch cold on your account. It's fresh air I want, and I'm entitled to it. If you don't let me open window, I'll report the pair of you. I know me rights.
Very well. For 5 minutes only. There. But keep your seat.
The gallows does well. How does it well? It does well to those that do ill. Thou dost ill to say the gallows is stronger than the church.
Stop him!
All right, I've got his foot. Quick, pull to the communication cord.
Hold tight. Don't let him go.
I can't hold him. His boot's coming off. Why doesn't the train stop? We're going to lose him. We're going to... There, I told you, he's gone. He's gone.
Is he dead?
Ought to be, but he's not. Took a fair crack to the head, though.
We're in luck. The snow saved him, I reckon.
He's coming round now.
All right, I'll handle him. You go for a doctor. Quick. If Charles Peace isn't in court tomorrow morning, we're for it.
This is preposterous. When has a bench of magistrates ever before been required to sit in the cold, drafty corridors of the police cells?
Your worship will doubtless recall what happened yesterday, that the prisoner hurled himself through the window of a railway carriage in a vain attempt to secure liberty, or else suicide, and I'm inclined to favor the latter theory. Nevertheless, as a result, he is in no condition today to make the journey to court, and this is the only alternative, your worship.
Preposterous! Never heard the like of it before.
The prisoner's bed will be pushed a few yards from his cell to this spot, your worship. He will be heavily bandaged, of course, but fully conscious and able to follow the proceedings. Oh, it will be merely a question of taking formal evidence, your worship, and committing him to the LEEDS assizes next month.
Very well. And the sooner we get it over with and done with, the better, or we'll be dead of pneumonia.
Will you tell the court, Mrs. Dyson, why your husband took exception to the behaviour of the accused?
Well,
I guess it was on account of my husband told him to stay away from the house, and he wouldn't.
And what were your own feelings in the matter, Mrs. Dyson?
I guess I agreed with my husband.
Previous to the note thrown over the garden fence by the deceased, what was the relationship between you and the prisoner?
We were just friends.
No more than that?
No.
Liar, why don't you tell him the truth?
You've seen the somewhat incriminating letters which the prisoner claims you wrote to him from time to time. Do you say they are not in your handwriting?
I do.
She's lying, and I can prove it. The woman's a barefaced liar.
I'll have no more interruptions in this so-called court. You only do yourself harm by interrupting.
Oh, your worship, I'm cold, bitter cold, and in great pain. This is no way to treat a sick man. I, an innocent man at that.
Charles Peace, the bench find there is no case against you to go before a jury. You are therefore committed thereby to stand your trial for murder at the next assizes.
Do you find the prisoner, Arthur Peace, guilty or not guilty of the murder of Arthur Dyson of Banner Cross?
Guilty.
And that is the verdict of you all?
It is.
Charles Peace, you stand convicted of the crime of wilful murder. Have you anything to say for yourself why sentence of death should not be passed on you according to the law?
Oh, my lord, I know I have been bad and base to the uttermost, but I know at the same time they have painted my case blacker than it really is. I never meant to kill. Nay, I swear by Almighty that I never meant to kill anyone in my life. But he threatened my liberty, which was dear to me, and I fired the gun. I fired it when my blood was up. And now I appear before you as one of God's most repentant sinners. So, oh, my Lord, have mercy upon me. Have mercy upon a miserable wretch who is not yet ready to die.
Charlie Peace, you have been found guilty of a murder which, from every aspect, was as cold-blooded as it was brutal. It is not my duty, still less is it my desire, to aggravate your feelings at the details of your criminal career. Nevertheless, I implore you, during the short time which may remain to you in life, to prepare for eternity. The sentence of the court is that you be taken from here to the place from whence you came, that you be led from there to a place of lawful execution, where you shall be hanged by the neck until you are dead.
Have you prepared yourself to meet your Maker?
Aye, parson, I have, and my Maker has heard me. Of that I'm certain. But I sent for you, Reverend, because I've somewhat extra special to say. You remember me at Darnall? I was among your congregation there, and many's the time you and I had discourse upon religion.
I remember you very well.
That's why I sent for you. As a man about to die, I've certain matters which burden me conscience.
Only when a man faces eternity is his conscience truly laid bare.
Ah, but this is something extra special, sir.
You wish to make a full confession of the crime for which you're about to die?
Nay, there's no secret about that. Although the world will never believe I had no thought to kill, only to get away. There's something else the world will never believe. Aye, wherever the name of Charlie Peace is spoken, people will say, he was an actor to the very last. That's not true, parson. There's no act, no disguise, now when I say I'm a truly repentant sinner.
I believe you.
Well, that's why I wish to unburden me mind upon the following matter. Just over 2 years ago, I was in Manchester the night of August 1st, 1876. It was at a place called Whalley Range. I was there to work some houses, and one house in particular I had my eye on. There were some grounds attaching to it, and I thought to get into these at dusk and await me chance of entering the house. On the way there, I passed 2 policemen, but I was dressed respectable, and they seemed to take no notice. It was getting dark as I walked through the gate, but I hadn't gone far before I heard footsteps behind me, and looking round, saw it was one of the policemen. I began to run and then jumped over a wall, straight into the arms of the other policeman who must have been planted there waiting for me. We had a scuffle, and I broke free for a moment. I told him to stand back. I fired a shot wide to warn him. But this policeman was as determined as I was, and he came at me with his truncheon. I couldn't help it. I fired 2 more shots and ran away. Later, I read in the papers that an Irishman by the name of William Abron had been arrested for the murder of this policeman. I even attended the trial at Manchester Assizes.
You allowed an innocent man to be sentenced to death for a crime of which you were guilty?
'Twas a case of that or being hanged myself. And how many men would have done otherwise?
By the mercy of God, that man's life was spared.
Haven't I said I was truly repentant now? Aye, and what I've told you is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You'll pass that on to them, eh? So the young Irishman may be set free at once?
At once.
And now, me conscience is clear. Aye. When I come face to face with the Almighty in a few hours from now, I shall have nothing to fear. There is just one more thing I'd ask of you, Parson.
Certainly. What is it?
Not many of us has the opportunity of printing his own funeral card, I fancy. But here, this is all me own work, and quite pretty at that, eh? I'd like you to give it to me wife Hannah. Afterwards. You understand?
Rest assured, she shall have it.
She's been a good wife and loyal, stood by me to the last. Aye, and sold up house and home that I should have fair play.
I'll make known to her those thoughts as well. And now your time draws near. Kneel with me in prayer.
I'll not have that thin over my face, I tell you. I'm not afraid to die. No, don't you think it. I want to see where I'm going.
Almighty God, in whose holy custody are placed the souls of those departing this life.
And so it was that the infamous Charles Peace, after 30 years of crime, finally found himself hanging at the end of a rope. Yes, the gallows did do well. Wow, what a finale. And now, my friends, the final goodbye for now. It's been a wonderful summer season of Friday Night Vedder Mysteries. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Our crack team of playwrights at the Chilliwack Players Guild is working slavishly away at creating more new and unique content for you this fall. And on a personal note, it's been such a pleasure to be your host this season, despite having to deal with these mysterious attempts of my life. I hope to be back as your host very, very soon. Poison dart! Damn it! Don't worry, fans. I'll deal with this, and I'll see you back this fall. If you dare. Astrid! Astrid! You're...